Hello, it's a good day to you today. You're welcome to English class. I am Olowo Esther. This class is brought to you by Egota Learning Platform. Today, we will be looking at the topic adverbs. And majorly we'll be looking at adverb as a topic and also the types of adverbs that we have according to the functions that they perform in a sentence. Okay, so get your pen ready and your paper to jot down major points in today's lesson. Okay, so before we talk about adverbs in depth, we will be looking at the meaning of adverbs. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, and other adverbs. An adverb modifies a verb. It describes the action performed in a verb. It can also modify an adjective or another adverb or even a whole sentence. An adverb is capable of modifying a verb. It talks about the action. It describes the action performed in a sentence. It modifies an adjective. It can also modify another adverb or even a whole sentence. Okay, as we delve further, you would be able to see the different ways that an adverb modifies a verb, that is, modifies an adjective or another adverb or even a whole sentence. Okay, so before we continue, I would like to stress that the topic adverb is a very important part of speech that you need to take cognizance with, just like every other part of speech in English. Adverbs are very important and you will be coming across them in your everyday use of language, English language. In your everyday use of the English language, you will be coming across them. Also, when we are talking about phrases and clauses under comprehension in WAEC, we will need to master the use of adverbs, because by the time you are asked to look for adverbial phrases, adverbial clauses, and give them grammatical names according to how they are used in a particular context in English comprehension, you will be needing your knowledge of adverbs. So I would advise you to take the lesson very seriously. All right. Okay, so now an adverb can tell us different things. And that is what will take us into the types of adverbs. An adverb can tell us how an action is performed. It can tell us when an action is performed. It can tell us where an action is performed. It can tell us how much an action is performed, or how much or the degree of something. It can also tell us how often an action is performed. So these are the things that an adverb can tell us. For example, if you make a statement, it is the adverb that will further explain the action in the sentence. For example, if you say, the teacher walked into the classroom, that is a statement. We do not know how the teacher walked. But if you say, the teacher walked into the classroom slowly, the word slowly explains or describes how the teacher walked into the classroom. So that is an example of how an adverb tells us how an action is performed. Okay, now let us look at some words that show how an action is performed. Quickly, softly, slowly, quietly, loudly, angrily, peacefully, speedily, shyly. These adverbs are called adverbs of manner. They tell us how something is done, how an action is done, or how an event happened. Adverbs of manner are formed by the addition of the suffix ly to the adjective. The suffix ly is added. Remember, suffixes are added at the end of words to create a new word. So the suffix ly is usually added to an adjective to create an adverb of manner. Okay, so more than 90% of adverbs are formed in this way, by adding ly, the suffix ly, to the adjective. So more than 90% of adverbs are formed this way. For example, if you have the word quick, remember quick is an adjective, but by the time we add ly to it, it becomes quickly. Soft is an adjective. By the time we add ly to it, it becomes softly. So words that end, adverbs that end in ly are referred to as adverbs of manner, and they depict how. They answer the question how in a sentence. They tell us how an action is performed. Alright, another type of adverb is adverbs of time. Adverbs of time. Adverbs of time answer the question when. They answer the question when to tell us the time that an action was performed. They answer the question when to tell us the time that an action was performed. So adverbs of manner. Another example of adverbs according to functions that they perform is adverbs of time. Adverbs of time. Adverbs of time tell you the time or period when an event takes place or when a person does something in a sentence. It points to the time. It indicates the time or period when an action takes place in a sentence. For example, adverbs like today, afterward, soon, tomorrow, after, now, later, always, often are all adverbs of time. They tell us, they point to the time that an action takes place. They answer the question when in a sentence to point out the time that an action takes place. For example, what are you doing? I can say, what are you doing? But if I want to indicate time, I will say, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? So now there is an adverb of time. My father bought a new car today. My father bought a new car today. So today is an adverb of time, pointing to the time when the action bought took place. Okay. Now, we also have adverbs of place. Adverbs of place tell us where. They answer the question where. Where did the action take place? They answer the question where. Where did the action take place? For example, inside, there, nearby, outside, up, around, here, down, below. These are all adverbs of place. They point to the place where an action takes place. Okay, another type of adverb according to function is adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree tell us to what extent an event happens or to what extent a person does something. Okay, it tells us the degree of seriousness or triviality of an action. Then, an adverb of degree also modify an adjective to tell us the seriousness of that adjective. For example, barely, nearly, nearby, almost, fairly, just, extremely, very, absolutely, absolutely. So all these words are adverbs of degree. They tell us how much, the degree of an action. They answer the question how much an action is performed. They tell you the seriousness of an action or the triviality of an action as the case may be. For example, my mother is very important to me. My mother is very important to me. Look at that statement. I can decide to say my mother is important to me. But if I say my mother is very important to me, very is an adverb of degree telling us the degree of my mother's importance to me. Okay, so very tells us the degree of my mother's importance to me. Another example is, I told John that the music was too loud. I told John that the music was too loud. So too also tells us the degree of the loudness of the music. Tells us the degree of the loudness of the music. So adverbs of degree, they measure they measure the degree, the seriousness or the triviality of an action as the case may be. Okay, another type of adverb is adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency tell us how often an action is performed. They tell us how often an action is performed. They measure the frequency of an action by telling us how often such action is performed. Okay. They include words like always, never, often, usually, seldom, generally, rarely, normally, sometimes. Okay, so these are examples of adverbs of frequency. Of frequency. Now, I want you to differentiate amongst some of these adverbs of frequency. When you say something happens seldomly, seldom. When you say my mother seldom visits us, it means that she doesn't do it all the time. She does it once in a long while. So seldom visits. My mother seldom visits us. She does it once in a long while. Okay, as compared to my mother rarely visits us. It means she doesn't come at all. My mother rarely visits us. She doesn't do that. She does it. You can hardly see her do that thing. So that is rarely. That is when you use rarely. Okay, so you have to be able to differentiate amongst the uses of these adverbs of frequency. Okay, so let us look at some sentence examples and identify the adverbs in them. Tomorrow, we will all be going to the beach, Susan announced excitedly. Tomorrow, we will all be going to the beach, Susan announced excitedly. Tomorrow is the adverb in that sentence, an adverb of time. Excitedly is another adverb in that sentence, adverb of manner. How did she announce? Excitedly, adverbs of manner. Okay. Another sentence example is, she gently closed the door behind her and fell asleep peacefully. She gently closed the door behind her and fell asleep peacefully. Okay, let us examine the adverbs in that sentence. Gently is an adverb in that sentence, adverb of manner. Behind is an adverb of place. Peacefully is also an adverb of manner. Okay, so those are examples of adverbs in that sentence. Okay, so on your own, you're going to add some adverbs to these sentences. Let us add some adverbs to these sentences. The dog was angry. Okay, the dog was angry. The dog was angry. There is no adverb in that sentence. So how can you measure the anger? The dog was very angry. The dog was so angry. The dog was visibly angry. The dog was obviously angry. So those are words, those are adverbs that you can supply to show the level of the anger. Okay, the boy walked to the car. The boy walked to the car. How? You can tell us the boy walked to the car slowly. The boy walked to the car quickly. The boy walked to the car angrily. The kids played in the playground excitedly. You can also say the kids played in the playground happily. Those are adverbs of manner telling us how the kids played. All right. Okay, we want to look at some WAEC questions. Okay, but before we go into the WAEC questions, let me remind you that a group of words that function as an adverb is referred to as an adverbial. A group of words that functions that functions as an adverb is an adverbial. For example, the difference between an ordinary adverb and an adverbial is that an adverb is a single word. For example, if I say hungrily, hungrily is an adverb of manner. It's a single word. But if I say, he ate as if he had not eaten for 10 days. As if he had not eaten for 10 days there, if underlined, is an adverbial. And that is an adverbial clause. It is an adverbial clause because it is a group of words. So the difference between an adverb and an adverbial is that an adverb is a single word, and an adverbial clause is a group of words that function as an adverb. Okay, so let us look at some WAEC questions. He never seemed to get it right. He never seemed to get it right. Option A is, however he tried, no. He tried hard, however, no. He, however, tried hard, no. However hard he tried is the correct answer. He never seemed to get it right. How? However hard he tried. This is a group of words that function as an adverb. So it is an adverbial. It is an adverbial clause. Okay. Another example is, the team practiced intensely for weeks before the match. The team practiced intensely for weeks before the match. Still yet it lost. For it lost, yet it lost, despite it lost. Many of you will be tempted to choose still yet. Remember, still and yet, both of them are synonyms. So you cannot use them together. So avoid choosing still yet. Still yet are synonyms. So whenever you use them together in a sentence, especially when they are beside each other, then you are committing an error. So still yet should not go together. Rather, you should use one of them. So yet is the correct answer in this sentence. The team practiced intensely for weeks before the match, yet it lost. That is the correct answer. Another example is, dash, my father took me to England. This sentence seeks to test your knowledge of adverbs of time. Okay, that is, when did my father take me to England? At the age of 10, my father took me to England. You cannot say being 10 years old. No. You cannot say when I was 10. No. You cannot say at 10 years old. No. Rather, you say at the age of 10, my father took me to England. So that's the correct answer. Right. So if you have been able to provide the correct example of adverb to fill in the gaps in the previous sentences, you have done a great job. You have done a great job. Before I provided the answers, if you have been able to provide the answers, you have done a great job. Okay, so you would practice more to ensure that you pass any question, you pass any test at all on adverbs. You would need to practice more. Get more questions on adverbs and adverbial phrases, adverbial clauses. Get to trash them out and ask your questions if need be. Thank you very much for listening. See you some other time. Bye. Thank you.